Welcome and welcome back. Today I'm going to give you 5 reasons you should not work from home full time. As an HR specialist, I have worked from home in some capacity even before the pandemic, so I get the ins and outs of it. I also see, as an HR specialist, how it affects other employees and what works well and what doesn't. So let's jump into it. So, number 1, it limits your opportunity for advancement and growth. Here's what I mean. So, of course, there are some flexibilities when it comes to working from home. But as it pertains to working from home full time, I have had many employees tell me directly, I will not consider going back to the office, or I will not consider, another position that isn't work from home. Now, for a big thing for employers, the situation with work from home works well, especially if you have employees who are seasoned, they know what they're doing, and they have been in the position, role, or done similarly situated functions for a number of years. It perhaps works. But when you have employees that are new, quite green, they're learning the job, learning the position, otherwise need to be in training. Of course, we all need continual training for development and growth, but those starting, that training and kind of one-on-one hone-in is quite different. And for that reason, a lot of employers don't want to offer work at home, or maybe they'll offer hybrid, they won't offer work at home full-time, and that is why. Now, with respect to that, some people apply for positions won't even entertain it, especially if they work from home for an extended period of time or for a number of years. But in all due respect, that may be the only way for that employee to be able to get opportunity for advancement, right? So if you're looking to do something else or a new position, you're going to have to learn something. Even if you've done a position, in the past, you're going to have to learn something, right? So with that being said, it is a perhaps loss and advancement opportunity, because you've now limited down your search with that very specific criteria that the position offered does have to be 100% remote, or it's not something that you will consider. So that is part 1. Part 2, with the opportunity for advancement or growth, is a lot of people end up getting removed if they jump into a new position. They do it work at home, and they don't end up learning the position or how to do it well. So basically, that situation is kind of like not passing a probationary period. And some will say, they didn't get that, one-on-one hands-on training or time with the supervisor, or time to be able to ultimately learn a position to be able to, kind of push it forward. I have seen that, and I have seen employees removed from service or removed from the position just because of that. So that is something to keep in mind. 2, you may lose your professional in-person experience. Here's what I mean. So I recently had a training. I had to fly out to Texas, and one of the things in the symposium for the conference was people were not addressed appropriately. And I've seen this in previous conferences, and even conversations have been had. And when I say conversations, I mean with adult people, with adult people that are not entry level, people that are seasoned individuals that otherwise should know better. They were not dressed appropriately for work. And many said, I work from home, and whether it's they're wearing their pajamas every day, or they just didn't have appropriate attire. It just, at the end of the day, basically, there were several members in upper management that came and were like, they were embarrassed. They were straight up embarrassed about how some of those folks, not everybody, you always got a handful that ruin it for the rest, but they couldn't get it together. And with that being said, when it comes to kind of tapping back to 1, promotional opportunity, growth, things of that nature, they remember that. Everybody will remember that. So when it comes to where they need an opportunity, to arise, whether it's for training, development, or someone to represent your company or your agency, you're not going to go with that. This is coming from me, an HR person, right? And these are the decisions that members of management ultimately make. And your presentation is key, especially coming to a symposium or a conference as such large as the event I just came from. You don't get that second chance to make a first impression. So losing your professional in-person appearance, so to speak, is a big deal. 3, you have certain flexibilities from work at home as it compares to maybe an office. So work at home, of course, you have maybe the ability to do a flex tour, which is like instead of starting at 7 o'clock, maybe you're able to start at 9 o'clock. So as long as you work your required allotment hours for the day, then it's not a big deal. A lot of companies are okay with the flex tour. So that is part 1. The other part is same thing, the ability to take breaks. So especially if you have a medical condition, or if you have a doctor's appointment, or you need to pick up your kid from school, there was an issue, you can take breaks when you need to take breaks. Whereas same thing when you're working in office, that's not necessarily the case, right? So of course, even working at home, you have your meetings, you have your schedules, you're going to get impromptu calls, you're going to get bombarded with emails, yes. But for the most part, the dynamic is very different from work at home full time and going into the office full time. So it's very different. And losing some of that flexibility for some people is perhaps a make it or break it for the role. 4, it can be pricey. So working from home, definitely you need the monitors, you need the lights, you need the microphones, you need the keyboards, you need the desk, you need the chairs, and of course you should have it in an ergonomic setup. So again, certain things you'll see just as a basic setup. I have also done one recently for a friend as well, just a general setup. So I will have that coming out for you guys in the future, which is going to be an ergonomic setup, things that you need, things that you should consider. Even myself, one of my roles as an HR professional is working with employees through reasonable accommodation process for individuals with disabilities and providing them and getting them situated or set up with ergonomic equipment, right? So whether it's going to be the sit stand, ergonomic chairs, footrest, stools, things of that nature to be able to support their limitations and ultimately be able to make them overall a better employee with working with us. So that is something to keep in mind, and it can be pricey. So what people fail to consider or keep in mind when you're working for a company, agency, what have you, if they give you equipment, or maybe if they give you stipend for equipment, at the end of the day, when you separate with them, that stuff has to go back, right? And a lot of people forget that. So as an HR professional, I've had to send out a number of option letters, and the options usually stem as forward. Hey, you've spent $3,700 on your equipment. Options. We can garnish it from your last pay or leave that you would otherwise be paid out from. We may take you to court if it doesn't get sorted out, or if you don't make enough in your last pay for us to garnish to be able to do it. Probably going to have to take you to court. Or of course the fan fave is return the equipment. So in general, most people at that point in time will end up returning the equipment. But with that being said, it is now leaves you back with the situation of now you've gotten a new role. That new role is also work at home, and now you have no equipment because it was never yours to begin with. So keep that in mind when you're applying or continue to apply to remote positions, that you may have to return equipment or certain items, especially if it's not yours. The company or agency can go after you legally for it. And if it was offered from them, or if it's something that they provided, they do have a right to be able to request that it be returned. So keep that in mind. Hey, I'm Lenny Shakir. You're watching Kia's Lux Life, where I bring you all things fun, beauty, luxury, lifestyle, and some travel tips over on Travel Tips by Kia. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification so you're notified when I have a future upload. And the last reason why you shouldn't work from home full time is going to be lack of exercise and or a healthy balance or relationship with food. Now this kind of taps back into the breaking thing, where you can kind of break whatever you want to break. Now when you're going into work, especially on mass transit, people tend to eat fast food or get things that they can get quick, right? So they go in. I know for years when I was going in and dealing with Boston, getting off the T, going into Boston, and the line outside of Dunkin' was crazy. So you had folks, they would come, they would do the line, they would order their stuff. And then you had many people, kind of like the rest of us, right, that was doing to go, mobile orders to go. So we knew at a certain point when we got on the train, they said, hey, let me throw in my, my mobile order to go real quick. And, they had the staff, Dunkin' had staff ready to go available, and they were throwing out orders. As soon as orders were hitting the shelves, people were getting off the trains, grabbed their order, grabbed their order, grabbed their order. It was really just that quick. And to be fair, it was efficient. It was efficient. You had a lot of people that were on the go, maybe people that were running late, they didn't get to have their coffee, whatever it was, their muffin that day, whatever it was, whatever their thing is, for breakfast or just a breakfast item, to be able to go get it, grab and go. But you're on the go when you're moving, whether it's you're taking mass transportation, or even if you're driving somewhere, you're having to walk, you're having to kind of move about. So most people tend to be more in a physically fit situation than those who, of course, work at home. Now, of course, a wraparound is, of course, schedule your gym time, continue to eat healthy and eat within, the time frames that you would normally eat, instead of just being home and eating just because kind of deal. But with that being said, consider a desk treadmill. Now, when you want to get, let's say, like your ergonomic equipment, you want to make sure that you get like a sit stand, so you are able to get it and then lift and lower your equipment here as well. With these type of equipment and desk, you can get, of course, a treadmill, put it right underneath, and walk. Walk while you're working. That is something I've seen that accommodation work for a lot of people as well. Kind of keeps them mobile, if you will. Now, I have had, again, as an HR professional, a couple cases, not many, where things took a turn for the worst as it pertained to back to having a healthy relationship with food and or, being able to stay in a moderately fit, situation and or circumstance where the employee, after working on site or a hybrid, ended up going full time. I've had 2 or 3 cases, and at this point in time, they're obese and they're not able to return. Basically, the service entity or their management team said, "Hey, we need you to come back in to the office for reasons of LMNOP." And they basically came back and said, "Hey, my situation or circumstance has changed, and perhaps can I request to continue to be remote because now I have a different situation and a circumstance." So that is something to keep in mind. Some people have been able to keep their jobs and work accommodations, so on and so forth. Others have not, and they were and it ended up being that they were separated from the agency because of it. So that is something to keep in mind. Definitely let me know your thoughts about working from home full time. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Of course, the other obvious reason why you probably don't want to be working at home full time is you feel trapped. I can't tell you, as someone who has worked again, from home in some capacity for a period of time, definitely maybe you want to pick up a side gig. I've done that myself, even a period of time, just to be able to get out the house. You have a good reason to get out the house, you stretch your legs, get your steps in kind of deal. And I think in some respect, it works. It gives you, the ability to be able to collaborate, communicate with other folks instead of just staying home or just communicating via monitor or webcam as you see here. But, you have to be able to do something, or there needs to be a way where you can create a healthy balance. Definitely let me know down in the comment section below. What have you done to be able to keep a healthy work-life balance if you are full-time work at home? Or did you work full-time, at home and, for whatever reason or another, it just didn't work out? And you called your office back and said, "I need a desk. You want to go back to work?" I've had employees do that too. Leave it all down below, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.